Welcome to another podcast from DigiGods with your host, your host with the most information on film, Wade Major. I am Jupunks Derehebak Nanidanks Nahobebak, and here's Wade.
Thank you, Nadim. For those who were here last week, you will know that Nadim's testing out his hosting chops there with the, I don't even know what you said. What was that?
Jupunks Derehebak Nanidanks Nahobebak?
Yeah.
It's my official name.
Okay.
That's the name I give at Starbucks when I order a coffee.
No, that's great. People have a stroke, I'm sure, when you do that. Yes, Nadim is here co-hosting with me, saving my butt on a time when the Ides of August have taken a toll on this podcast. Because Mark went and cavorted off to France on a romantic escapade, the drop of a hat, just kind of threw caution to the wind, which is very unlike Mark, and set off to Paris for a week and a half. And Tim is running around the country. He's going to settle on back here after, by the time this podcast plays, the eclipse will be over. So, Tim will probably be back in town. We're just on the cusp of the weekend recording this right now. So, yes, indeed, we'll be back in gear next week, and Nadim will be breathing a sigh of relief that he doesn't have to sit here and do this anymore. But thank you, Nadim, for sitting in for the guys.
You are welcome.
Yes.
You are welcome, Wade.
We have got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about this week, mostly television. We are now getting into September, and even though Netflix and Amazon and everybody else has blown the lid off of the idea that everything has to premiere in the fall, which that's the way it used to be, right? Fall was TV premieres, and still everything kind of does premiere in the fall on the networks. So we wind up with tons and tons and tons of television in September. All of it, the previous year's seasonal stuff, now making it out because they want you to catch up on the previous season or own the previous season, or else they want the new season to sell the previous season on disc. So there's a whole marketing strategy to it. So we wind up with tons and tons of television this time of year. But first, I'm going to roll through the other stuff that always drives Mark crazy, which is, there are four things. There's anime, kid vid, British television, and classical music. And all of them drive Mark absolutely crazy when I talk about them. But people like it. Or some people do. So, Naxos is very, very kind to us and always sends us some really, really interesting stuff on classical music. It's almost all Blu-ray stuff with Blu-ray audio. And Blu-ray audio is just to die for. So if you are an audiophile and if you are a classical music buff, this stuff is meaningful to you because it's like watching a concert or an opera or a ballet in your house with the best audio that you're ever likely to have. So I'm going to go through these fairly quickly. His first one is Richard Wagner's Parsifal, one of the more highly acclaimed Wagnerian operas. This is performed at the Dutch National Opera by the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra. I'm sure I destroyed that pronunciation. This is on Blu-ray with just absolutely to die for audio. Absolutely beautiful. Production, I can't really judge. I've never really seen, anything. I've never seen Parsifal. I don't really know how to. This is the only exposure I've ever had to it, so I wouldn't know how to compare it. Mahler's Eighth Symphony, performed by the Lucerne Festival Orchestra, is, either you love Mahler or you don't, but Mahler is big and powerful and long. This is an hour and a half of a rather extraordinary symphony, beautiful performance of it, and again, extraordinary audio, really extraordinary audio. This is region free, so anybody around the world can thoroughly enjoy it. For ballet fans, interestingly, I just saw a ballet movie last week, the Weinstein film Leap, Nadim. That was what I saw right before we recorded last week. Did I mention that to you?
You did.
Yeah, it's
Did you
actually.
like it?
I did like it. I did like it. I mean, it's a ballet angle, right? It's a little, it's a little girl, a little boy, two orphans, and it's a French Canadian and French animated production. These orphan kids, turn of the century, run to Paris to fulfill their dreams. I teared up a little bit, which I don't usually with animated films. But anyway, speaking of ballet, Ballet du Capitole. This is 3 ballets staged by Kader Bellarbi, Le Corsaire, La Bête et la Belle, Beauty and the Beast, and La Reine Morte, the Dead Queen. This is a great box set from Opus Arte, and it's quite nice. La Reine Morte is Tchaikovsky's music, which is absolutely just even if you don't like ballet, the music is amazing. And the La Bête et la Belle, not bad either. I wasn't familiar with it, but it's quite nicely done. The Beast performed by Takafumi Watanabe, by the way. Really, really well done. Live from the Concert de Gaboo in Amsterdam again is Kit Armstrong performing Bach's Goldberg variations and its predecessors. The and its predecessors is significant if you are a purist. Really, really very interesting performance here. If you're familiar with the Goldberg variations, some of the greatest music Bach ever wrote, really impressive. Beautiful keyboard work. Pixel, a choreography by Murad Merzuki. This is kind of avant-garde dance stuff. Not really my thing, but it's a nicely produced Blu-ray. Very, very nicely produced. Not just straight performance. This is 11 dancers in a very kind of cool experimental dance production. I mean, for people who like this kind of stuff, it's definitely cool. The Royal Swedish Ballet doing Midsummer Night's Dream, which is really, really a lot of fun. I didn't even know there was a Royal Swedish Ballet, but they're great. They're absolutely terrific. So I love the Swedes. I have friends in Sweden, and this is a terrific Blu-ray from Bel Air. And let's see. I'll throw a couple of these out there. We've got 2 Verdis and 1 Puccini.
Can I channel Mark?
Oh yes, by all means. This is what Mark hates. Puccini's La Bohème, performed by the Malmö Opera Orchestra and Chorus and Malmö Children's Chorus, also in Sweden. That's where a lot of my friends live. They live in Malmö. Verdi's Don Carlo and Il Trovatore, one by the Teatro Regio Parma and Festival Verdi Parma, and the other one by the Macerata Opera Festival. And then the last one I'm going to mention here is you know what, actually, I'm going to hold on. I'm going to torment Mark with those next time. And then we have a couple of things that are not classical necessarily. Maliblues is this is interesting. This
From Mali?
Yeah, from Mali. Mali Blues is all about the music of the origins of the music that blues kind of is inherited from, which is Malian, and I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I did not know specifically for the blues, but it is music from Mali specifically is considered original African music.
Yeah. It's very interesting too because I covered on my last film week we reviewed a documentary that talks about the influence of Native American music in both blues and R&B and rock and roll and a lot of the acts in the 60s, especially surf music acts that adopted those rhythms to guitars and drums, and you don't realize that, but that's where a lot of it comes from. It's really interesting, and this is similar in some respects. This is from Icarus Films home video.
Any kora players on there, or is it just
kora?
Yeah, that's the guitar-like instrument made of gourd.
Yeah,
which is very traditional Mali.
Yeah, yes. So
very haunting, very beautiful.
It's really
Salif Keita. A lot of people use it.
It's really, really nice. So and a lot of this wraps around to hip hop in the present day, and music informs music. I mean, it goes back and forth, as all art does, I guess. So Mali Blues is really quite a wonderful documentary. And then also The Gospel According to Al Green, which is on Blu-ray from MVD, and or MVD stands for Music Video Distributors. They just go by MVD now. This is fantastic. 96 minutes of just vintage Al Green as shot by Robert Muggy, who has done more great music documentaries than anybody else that I can think of. The Gospel According to Al Green, absolutely just fantastic performance work from one of the all-time great performers. And then EODM, which means Eagles of Death Metal. I Love You All the Time, live at the Olympia in Paris. I've never been to the Olympia in Paris. You've been to the Olympia?
Yeah.
How is it when you're there? Is it?
It's nice, very nice.
It looks like a terrific. I've only ever seen it on disc. It looks like a great venue.
No, it's a great venue.
Yeah, that's where all the big concerts.
Everybody plays there. Yeah,
yeah, it's great. Yeah, so I've never been there. I need to. This was on February 16th. I can't exactly say that I really love the music necessarily, but that being said, what happened is, the reason this is significant is that this directly ties in with the day that the terrorist attacks happened in Paris. And they were performing on November 13th at the Bataclan, and they came back several months later to finish the show at the Olympia. And so that's why this is a little bit more significant. None of the acts necessarily are my favorite. It's not my favorite kind of music, but I feel like I sort of it feels significant enough. Yeah. It feels like it's got a certain level of importance. All right, so Nadim, where shall we begin? You're a DigiGod here for a moment. We have television, we have new movies. We have documentaries. There is one documentary in particular I really want to get to. It's this one. So maybe we talk about this.
Let's talk about the documentary.
Let's talk about this.
Oh. When did that come out?
This week. So here's the worst timing ever for a documentary. PBS this week is releasing the Frontline documentary Bannon's War. Inside Stephen Bannon's fight to transform America and deliver on President Trump's promises. Now, here's what's funny about this. We got this actually about 3 weeks ago. Frontline is amazing in that if something happens in the news, those Frontline documentary filmmakers can turn around a documentary like that.
So they had an addendum to this?
No, they didn't. This is the flip side to that, which is they thought they turned a documentary around like that, and then just as quickly, he gets fired, and now this is practically an obsolete thing. So it's you just never know. Yeah. You just never know.
Well, not according to what he said last week, which is that he's now got his guns loaded.
Yeah,
and he's got the proper.
I mean, who knows? But what's interesting is that, and this is from the people that do the choice every year. Every election year, the Frontline team will make the choice all about the election. So these are very, very skilled documentarians, and they really know how to put this together on the fly, and their instincts are just superb, and they do this almost in their sleep. But it's just interesting that when this was made, he was an insider. And he was part of he had the president's ear, and now he's no longer there. So we'll see, but it's funny how the news cycle just whipped this film.
And he was the last one to have the president's ear.
Yeah.
Now they're all gone.
Yeah. So, and speaking of, here's another one: American Patriot, inside the armed uprising against the federal government. Another Frontline doc. This is all about the thing that happened with the Bundy family in Nevada and Oregon, and Clyde Bundy and his son, and it's a lot less interesting than I think the film probably makes it out to be.
Yeah, I actually saw that on television.
Yeah,
and I almost was ready to. I wanted to know what happened.
Yeah,
as opposed to. So sort of beginning and end are interesting. Stuff in the middle was a bit frivolous.
Yeah, it's
It didn't add to the.
It just feels like, I mean, to use filmic parlance, and this as well as I do. It feels like the pitch was better than the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It feels like a great pitch, but not so much. Everybody loves penguin documentaries. Ever since the Morgan Freeman narrated
Right.
March of the Penguins, that people just love penguins. I don't know, they've rediscovered penguins. The Penguin Counters is a documentary by a documentary team called Peter Getzels and Harriet Gordon. This is released from First Run Features. And is it March of the Penguins? No, but it's awfully close. The photography is just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And the penguins are fun, and these are different penguins. These are not the emperor penguins. This is mostly in Argentina. The down in Patagonia, there are just tons and tons of penguins as well, because it's very very close to the to Antarctica down there. And it's great. And when you watch this, you just think, wow, everybody really does love penguins. And then you look into the DVD extras, and there's a featurette called "Everybody Loves Penguins." I thought that was hysterical. I literally said that. I was like, everyone loves penguins. And there it is. Everyone loves penguins. And related to that is Sea Gypsies, the far side of the world. Now, you often call yourself a gypsy.
Yes.
Yes.
And what is this about?
Are you a sea gypsy?
I am a sea gypsy.
Okay.
I love to sail, and
well, this is about a group of people who built a 120-foot boat and then took an 8,000-mile journey from New Zealand to Patagonia, stopping up only once to look at some penguins in Antarctica. It's just, I mean, these people just said, hey, let's just throw caution to the wind and let's just go build a boat and go on a trip.
And this is a regular boat or a Kontiki type boat?
No, it's an actual like yacht kind of boat. I mean, it's not Kontiki. They're not rafting it. That would be depressing. No. But it's actually, I mean, it's an interesting bunch of people. That's the most interesting thing, is you're watching this bunch of people, and there are some interesting episodes that happen along the way. There's like an environmental group, and there's some other things, some sort of not so great things that happen along the way. But it's really a cool epic odyssey.
Well, really it's part of a lot of people's odysseys.
Yeah.
I have a lawyer friend who sold successful lawyer business, sold his law firm a year ago, a year and a half ago.
Right.
And he's been preparing. He bought a yacht, and he's been preparing for basically around the world.
No kidding.
He sold everything, and he's just simply going around the world. Whoever wants to, he has a schedule of where he might be, and he'll update his website.
No kidding.
Anybody who wants to hop on board with him and do a leg or two, but he just wants to see the world for as long as it takes him.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of money.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Well, I mean, again, it's not a horrible lot of money he had. I mean, he had a law firm. He sold a law firm. He had good money. But that's it.
See, I mean, you only have one. That's why Mark is in France.
Yeah.
He's throwing caution to the wind. He's doing it. Yeah. Another great documentary from First Run Features is Maiko, Dancing Child. This is by Åsa Svenheim Drivenes. I always love the name Åsa because I have a good friend in Sweden named Åsa. That's an A with a little circle over the top of it. This is really an interesting look inside the incredible difficulty of what it is to become a ballerina, a prima ballerina, following one by the name of Maiko Nishino, who is Japanese, and it's the sacrifices that her family made and what she went through from the time she was a teenager. And the culture clash and everything else that's involved in this particular in her particular journey is really an insight, not just into what she went through particularly, but for what really all those who aspire to be elite ballet dancers, male and female, what they go through. The last few real quickly. With great power, the Stan Lee story is exactly what it purports to be. A documentary all about Stan Lee. Pretty straightforward, pretty standard. Has a filmmaker commentary and tons of featurettes and other interviews, all the stuff that they didn't actually cut into the final film. But it's just a look at Stan Lee and his successes, his battles, and it'll be really sad when he finally goes, because I won't have that cameo to look forward to anymore in every single Marvel film. Because Stan Lee in every single Marvel film is just one of those fun little things. Even the animated ones, like.
Does he have any children?
Stan Lee? Yes.
Maybe they could do it.
Oh yes. Yeah, Stan Lee has a fascinating life. He's had a fascinating life. So he's 91 years old. Might be 92 now, I think. Anyway, hold on. And then the last three documentaries, really quickly. Hearing is Believing is a Blu-ray R. This is a manufacturer-on-demand documentary, but it's really, really worth it if you want to see it. It's all about Rachel Flowers. It's called Hearing is Believing, directed by Lorenzo Di Stefano. And Rachel Flowers is an extraordinary story. She was prematurely born and became blind as a result. But she also, in addition to having that handicap, she has perfect pitch, which has made her a legend in the music world. And it's sort of it's one of those great failure and triumph, or affliction and triumph stories that just really inspires more than even a narrative film could, because a narrative film could never actually communicate the magnitude of how extraordinary this story is. It's just really, really wonderful. So absolutely worth checking out. Wonderful documentary called Hearing is Believing, all about the amazing story of Rachel Flowers. Oliver Stone's Ukraine on Fire. Did you see this? Have you seen Ukraine on Fire? There have been a bunch of Ukrainian documentaries, and this is not the one that I really wanted to see. This is from Cinema Libre. It's good, but I think it kind of misses the mark a little bit. It's complementary to the others, but for all of the stuff that's gone from 2004 to that whole decade after 2004, then the Orange Revolution and everything that has sort of happened politically with Putin and the invasion of Crimea and all of that, I kind of feel like it's trying to cover too much, and it winds up covering things selectively. So it's a little bit hard for me to completely recommend it. And then the last one is Vita Activa, The Spirit of Hannah Arendt, one of the most influential thinkers of the 1960s. Her book, The Banality of Evil, is sort of the Bible of how to identify dictators and authoritarians, and it was specifically written around the trial of Adolf Eichmann, which she covered as a journalist for New Yorker. A really fascinating life, an extraordinary woman. The narrative film by Margareta von Trotta about her life came out a few years ago, and this is a nice complement to it. Probably should have been an extra on it. There's so much in here, it's just impossible to sort of completely wrap yourself around it, but she is one of the great figures of the 20th century. Her writings are just magnificent, and getting this first-hand insight into her life and her writings and the controversies around her is really quite a journey. So, very cool. All right, Nadim, what else?
Did you say a circle on the O?
Circle on the O. Yeah, little circle over the A.
The A.
The A. Okay. Did I say O?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I
no,
heard
it's
O.
Osa. It's
yeah.
Osa. But
it's a circle.
That little circle makes
right.
you...
Because on the O you have the umlaut, which is 2 dots.
Yes.
Now the circle on the A is...
Yeah.
I think volley or something like that in Swedish. Specific to Swedish.
I wish I knew... Yeah, very specific to Swedish. And I wish I understood what all the accents in Czech mean, because they've got like 50.
Yeah.
Everything has an accent.
Well, in learned Arabic, there is hundreds of accents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and each accent makes the word a completely different meaning.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's such a rich language that, unfortunately, gets associated with the crap these days. But the language is extremely, extremely rich.
When I worked at Air France, I was one of the remedial employees because I only spoke French. Everyone else there spoke like half a dozen languages. So I mean, I've always had a fascination with it. But it seems to me that the older the language, the more variations there are, because it's been around for so long. So you have a richness of dialects, right. and like with Arabic, you have learned Arabic and you have colloquial Arabic, and it's the same thing with Latin languages, which all even if they're not as old as Latin, they're derivations of something that's very, very old, so they inherit that. But it seems like even Armenian has a lot of the same stuff as well. All these very, very old languages. Greek. It's all Greek to me. Television. What? Anything in the television pile that jumps out at you?
Yes.
What specifically?
America's Test Kitchen.
Yeah. Let me preface this by saying that Nadim is an extraordinary cook. And when we're done with this podcast, part of his obligation to me, it seems like I should be cooking for you, frankly, but is that we're going to go into the kitchen. We're going to have an amazing meal. Nadim comes from a family of unbelievable chefs and incredible cooks, and his mother is just a legend. And so carry on.
And you can check out my mother's cookbook, Nora's Recipes from Egypt.
Yes.
At Nora's Food. Look up for Nora's Food.
Nora's Food.
Nora'sFood.com.
It's fantastic. I love your mom's cookbook. It's great.
Yes, so it does jump out at me because I happen to be a cord cutter when it comes to television.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of the PBS channels over the air.
Yeah.
And this comes on quite often. So I get there and I sit and I watch these people cook in nothing but clarified butter and lard and all this stuff. And look, I'll glean some of the ideas from them, but the cooking is heavy for my taste. But it's interesting. It's an interesting show.
It really is. I mean, a lot of this, out of every show that I watch of this, and I'll watch a smattering or a sampling of them, and there's usually, I enjoy watching them make all the dishes, even though most of them are things that I would never eat in a million years. Right? True. There's something just about the process that is really, really interesting and entertaining. They have a thing here on the fourth disc, fast food makeovers, which it's artistry. I'm never in a million years going to eat anything that they're making over. It's still fast food, but I enjoy seeing what they're doing. Some of the dessert stuff here is just to die for, and it's a lot of fun.
There are recipes on the DVD as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's the whole deal. That's the whole deal. What? Archie's Weird Mysteries, the complete series.
Of the two old comic books that I had growing up in Africa, in deprived Africa from this sort of culture, was Archie and Mad Magazine. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious as to what this is.
This is a series that never should have existed. Truly, this never should have existed. This was made in the late 1990s. So I used to watch the Archie series when I was a kid, the original Archie series, which is fine. It's not great animation. It is pulled from the comics, and it's very fine. And then somebody had the idea to do Archie as like a mystery show, is to sort of Scooby-Doo it up in the late 90s, and it was one of the strangest shows ever. It's 40 episodes. It's immersing the Archie gang in the world of Frankenstein, and it's just bizarre. It really is bizarre. It doesn't work in any way at all. And
Archie's Weird Mysteries.
Archie's Weird Mysteries. 40 episodes of this they
made.
Oh my
goodness.
I know. It's such a strange, anachronistic, odd, bizarre thing. Here's something from Acorn. Delicious, Series 1. Speaking of cooking and cooking things. So Ian Glenn plays a professional chef. We love Ian Glenn. He's just one of the all-time great actors. And he is here at the center of a lot of how would I put it? He's a hotel owner, and this is sort of, I don't want to call it like Faulty Towers, because it's not Faulty Towers. It's like a dramatic with comedic edges version of kind of a, I don't even know how to explain
like
it.
Like a Faulty Towers.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a soap opera that takes place around the cooking in the hotel business. I'll leave it at that. The best thing about this is that Ian Glenn's ex-wife here is played by Dawn French, formerly of French and Saunders, who was one of the co-creators of AbFab, and that's a pairing I never would have thought of in a million years. Never in a million years. Ian Glenn and Dawn French, no, and you know what? Absolutely terrific. Really, really great. So this is a fun UK series, and there are 4 episodes in Series 1 because that's what they do in the UK. They take their time with stuff. And then from Warner Brothers has given us many, many dark TV shows. Here, now you don't watch any of the the DC stuff, do you?
No,
Supergirl,
no.
Flash,
But
Arrow.
I did watch the first season of Gotham.
Okay, so this is the third season of Gotham. Why did you not watch more than the first season?
Because towards the end of the season, it got old and extremely repetitive.
Totally, I agree. I thought it got there by the middle of the first season.
Lost interest after. Yeah, exactly.
Completely.
4, 5, 6 episodes in, I was going, really? Is this what's going to happen for the rest of the season?
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So I've had to skip around a little bit as we've gotten these, and it's definitely better in the third season. And the funny thing is, this is what I find really interesting. So Gotham is a DC series. You know, DC can't. They Warner and DC can't get their act together. So Gotham is a DC series for television that is not connected to the other DC shows on television, which I think is kind of a mistake.
Interesting.
Because, you know, Flash and the Arrow and Supergirl and Legends of Tomorrow are all part of the same Arrowverse. They call it the Arrowverse. And they're all part of the same thing. They all interconnect and jump over and crisscross with each other, and that's a thing. And you know, there's even there was even a multi-part, like a 3-part episode where aliens invade the Flash, the Earth around the Flash, and it becomes a crossover between 3 of the shows. It's very unusual. So, but I think they should have been able to figure out how to make Gotham part of that as well. They should have been able to do that, at least because Supergirl's on a different Earth from the others, you know, so they should have been able to figure out how to tie this into Supergirl a little bit. But they haven't, and I think it's kind of a mistake. I'd prefer the movies also tie in, but anyway, that said, I think part of the problem is that Gotham doesn't it lives in a world all its own. So it's
I mean, it's also the making of Batman.
Yeah.
So the others have already arrived at their destination, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't know. It's didn't work as well as I thought it should have. Anyway, 4th season of The Originals is also out, which includes the Comic-Con panel and gag reel from just this last year. And you know, The Originals is a little bit running on fumes. This whole kind of supernatural monster thing that began with Buffy and extended through the Twilight movies and then all of the Vampire Diaries and all that, I think has kind of run its course. But you know, it's still really well done. I mean, the writing staff still seems to have enthusiasm for it. And Black Sails is also in its 4th season on Stars. You ever seen Black Sails?
I tried to see it once. Yeah.
I like it.
It's well done.
It's very well done.
I just somehow didn't have any interest in the storylines.
Yeah, you gotta kind of
Don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, it's I enjoy the aesthetic of it more than anything else. The fact that it's pirates on TV.
Agreed.
Right? It's just like, oh,
which is why I tuned in.
Yeah. And Stars, you know, gives them a really good budget. I think. I mean, maybe 4th season. Do you remember which season you watched? Which part?
It was the first season.
It was first season. It's gotten better, like the others. It's gotten better. It's definitely stepped up.
Well, generally in serials, I mean, 2nd, 3rd season is when they start becoming good.
Yeah, for sure.
Often they're still looking for their legs in the first season.
Very much, very true. Another Stars show is The White Princess, which I have mixed feelings about, to be honest. It feels a little bit trashy, more so than I like for these kinds of what they call legacy shows. I like the BBC approach more. You know, this deals with the marriage between King Henry VII and Elizabeth of York and all of the nasty court intrigue that surrounds all of those bits of British history. So you know, there's something to it. I wish it weren't quite so trashy, but I want something more like like what Netflix has been doing with The Crown. That's kind of what I want. But anyway, that is also on Blu-ray. And then Supergirl. Let's talk for a moment about Supergirl because we talked about Flash and all that nonsense. So, have you seen Supergirl?
I have not.
Okay, so
I'm like the worst host here.
No,
have you seen anything? No.
But you've worked in television, so I want your insight into this. So, what happens on a TV show when, over the course of, I mean, you were on Who's the Boss for how long? How many years?
At least 4 years.
Okay, so by the time you get to the 4th or the 4th of those 4 years, is there a fatigue factor setting in with people? Do people feel like, okay, we're going through the motions, we're resting on our laurels, it's getting repetitive?
Um, again, if there's anything, any medium that is uh, that is tailor made for stars, it would be episodic television because generally, for the most part, people tune in, especially on the smaller shows, tune in to see the star of the show.
Right.
So at that point, once you have them tuning in to see the star of the show, the rest of the show doesn't have to be as unique or as interesting as, say, a film does, where you get
Right.
one shot at it,
Yeah.
and that's it. But yes, fatigue does come in, and it depends too on what you take something like Twin Peaks.
Sure. And
The
we know the
the-
people on who are doing Twin
w-
Peaks.
the minute you reveal, not the recent one, but the original one,
Yeah.
the minute you revealed who Laura Palmer was,
Yeah.
show finished.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to tune in anymore.
Yeah.
The show that I happened to work on, Who's the Boss, there was a tension between Tony and Angela, and whether they had a thing going, or whether they're gonna
Yeah.
get married and
Yeah.
whatever. And if you ever resolve that, you've sort of ended the show.
Right.
So I think that has something to do with it too. I mean, say Supergirl is probably a separate thing every week.
Well, here's where I'm going with this, because there's a thing that they do on all of the Arrowverse shows, which I was just saying, it's funny because I was going back and forth with in email on this with Tim this last week, just commenting on this, and there's premium cable. Speaking of like the new Twin Peaks, you do shows that are 8 to 13 episodes. Like Defenders is 8 episodes, Ozark is 10. Most of the episodes of other Netflix shows are 13. Something like Man in the High Castle, I think, is 10. So you're 8 to 13. You make a really tight set of episodes. It's a single storyline. It's serialized, and there's no fat. I get the feeling with especially Flash, but to an extent Supergirl as well, that they wish that they were a premium show, because then they could tell their 8 or 10 episode storyline tightly. But instead, they've got about 8 episodes or 10 episodes of story, but they've got 22 hours they have to fill. So you'll get a lot of filler. There'll be an episode will end with a cliffhanger, and then the next episode is just it's some damn thing happens, and at the end of that episode, now we're back on track. Right, so it's sort of like every other episode is just some crap filler show, and that gets tiresome after a while.
Yeah.
You feel like you're yanking my chain a little bit. The cliffhanger isn't a cliffhanger until next episode; it's a cliffhanger until 2 episodes from now. So this is the complete second season, and it's Superman makes an appearance here, and it's but still it's got that problem. 22 episodes, and there's only about maybe 10 or 11 of them that really feel like they're focused. The rest of it all just feels like treading water a little bit. What is nice is that there's a thing on here. Supergirl Lives is a commentary with Andrew Kreisberg and Kevin Smith. So Kevin Smith brings his comic nerdiness to bear.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do superheroes ever get old?
Well, on the Flash, yeah, it depends. I mean, in the comics, yes.
Because can we do like, a show with
what?
A show with older superheroes, like grumpy old superheroes.
Oh, you mean like
75 octogenarian superheroes.
Oh, like Superman when his prostate is
exactly,
screaming, and it's
exactly.
There's no stopping that.
Absolutely, I think that would be wonderfully hilarious. Super old lady.
There's a little bit of that on Flash, kind of, because one of the do you remember the original Flash series from 91 or something like that?
No.
1991, 92. No. So yeah, so there was originally a Flash series from the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, somewhere, anyway. And the actor who played Flash on that show plays both the new Flash's father and his doppelganger on another Earth, who is the original Flash from like the Golden Age Flash with the helmet and the whole thing. So there's a connective thing between the two shows. And Mark Hamill, who played the Trickster on that original Flash, has come back a few times to play the Trickster on the new Flash series. I don't know why I know that.
Yes, like anybody outside the writers would know that. I guarantee you there isn't a single person watching that show can put those two things together.
It's silly. I'm a nerd. Okay, second season of Lucifer, which airs on Fox, is also out. I don't really find this show all that compelling at all. This is also a Warner show. It's trying to it's pushing the whole supernatural theme to a place that's almost preposterous. But it's okay as far as it goes. It's the genre's worn out. The show makes a good try of it. And then quickly, a couple from Acorn, 800 Words, Season 2, Part 2. I wish they really wouldn't do that. We rail on that all the time. But this is a very highly acclaimed New Zealand series, which is worth checking out. 8 episodes on 2 discs here. It's just, anything that shows me a nice New Zealand rural coastal town is going to get my affections because I just think it's super cool. And then also from Acorn is Series 2 of Dominion Creek, which is a Canadian Western show that is pretty darn well done. I haven't seen anybody in the cast kind of break out, and I kept hoping that they would, but this is a really solid show. So if you want to see a good Western show, Dominion Creek Series 2 really fits the bill. Anything else in TV that's jumping out at you there, Nadeem? Anything that the cord cutter in you is thanking God that you don't have to see any of this?
Billions?
Yeah, Billions. You seen Billions?
I've seen some of the shows. Good show.
I caught up on Billions on the plane when I was flying to and from Dubai. It was that 16-hour flight to and from Dubai. I watched a lot of Billions. And how do you feel about it? It's okay?
It's okay.
Yeah?
It's okay. Do you like the performances?
So I've been trying to figure out why it isn't
over the top.
I've been trying to figure out why I don't think it's better than okay, because I know a lot of people that love this show. So tell me what you think of this assessment. It's a cat and mouse show with two. Okay, let me back up. One of the things that makes a show like the superhero shows work, whether it's Flash, whether it's Daredevil, whether it's DC, Marvel, whatever, is the fact that the dynamics, the power dynamics, are always shifting. It's not just that you have a different villain every week, but it's that the relationships relative to the villains are always changing. For example, on Flash, you have people who go from being morally neutral to morally positive, and from morally positive to morally negative. Everybody's always crossing that. You have villains that become heroes and heroes that become villains, and everybody's always kind of crossing over that threshold. And even on something like Daredevil, there's always the question: is Daredevil going too far, or is he not going too far? On Ozark, which is one of my new favorite hated shows because it's humanity at its worst, and I can't stop watching it. There's always you always ask yourself who really is worse here. Where is that moral line? On Billions, these two guys are sort of going to be where they are. If you're rooting for Paul Giamatti, you're rooting for Paul Giamatti. And season after season, you never sort of say, oh, he's gone too far, because he's already a jerk. They're both jerks. It's just a question of which one of them is going to win this war, and they're never going to bring that war to an end, because then the show would end.
The show's ending. Yeah.
So you're not really forcing me to choose between them. My loyalties aren't crossing that line. Does that make sense?
It does.
Am I overthinking it?
Well, I'm wondering whether you're just comparing two different genres.
Maybe.
You talk about the superheroes. Well,
but even Ozark, right? Even something like Ozark.
There is a right and there is a wrong, technically, in those shows. Where here you have two wrongs.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I love both these actors. Damian Lewis is terrific. They keep talking about him as being the next James Bond, which I don't, frankly, see. I think he's not right for it, but he's also a little bit too old. But they want to get like at least 15 years out of a Bond these days, and nobody wants a 60-year-old Roger Moore anymore. It's not an intimidating spy. A 65-year-old guy who wears a toupee. It's not. No, but it's well done. I mean, it's really well done. It's well written. It's got some great dialogue and the insight into stock trading. For those who don't know, basically Damian Lewis is a billionaire who's skirting on the edge and doing some unethical things. And Paul Giamatti is the U.S. attorney who wants to bring him down and use him as a stepping stone for his political ambitions. And then there are the wives and the women who sit between them, and all these power machinations. But I kind of still feel like I mean, it's a Showtime show, and I still sort of feel like the second season is doing mostly what the first season did. So anyway, let's hope it switches it up at some point. There's also a new Poseidon adventure, by the way, for those who care. This was in 2004, and it was terrible, and it's out on Blu-ray, and I can't recommend it because the original is still the only one worth seeing. This had Rutger Hauer and Adam Baldwin and Peter Weller and a bunch of other people in it. Anyway, Mill Creek put it out, took a look at it again. Not really worth it. What else do we have in the TV pile of note?
Again, cord cutting. I see PBS, the Murdoch Mysteries. Have you seen any of these?
I have, yes. Murdoch Mysteries Season 10. That's on Blu-ray. We covered this actually a couple of weeks ago on DVD. It is now on Blu-ray, so I will just reinforce that for people. If you are a fan of where Murdoch Mysteries has gone as a show of late, which is some really interesting turns. This is into Edwardian era Toronto. It looks even better on Blu-ray. Looks gorgeous. So Murdoch Mysteries Season 10 on Blu-ray from ITV, the people who gave us the beauty of Downton Abbey. Oh, NCIS Los Angeles. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, well, they do NCIS Antananarivo, Madagascar. I'll be interested.
Well, NCIS. Has this run longer? How long did the original NCIS run?
Where was the original NCIS? Which city?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I've completely forgotten. Yeah, look that up.
I will
figure that out. NCIS Los Angeles is now in its 8th season. It's kind of amazing. It's what's funny to me too is how a lot of these figures who were once rappers, a whole generation knows them as actors and doesn't even realize they were recording artists. Like LL Cool J. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, yeah, that guy on NCIS Los Angeles, he started as a hip hop artist. He wore a big funny hat. He was the thing. Will Smith, he was a hip hop artist. Oh, and Ice-T on Law and Order, yeah, he was a hip hop artist. They don't even believe me. They think I'm joking. No, seriously, these people were not always actors. It's the weirdest thing. That's how they all act. Anyway, Chris O'Donnell and LL Cool J are very, very good in NCIS Los Angeles, but I still feel like this show just does the same thing over and over and over every week. 23 episodes in this 6-disc set. For those who feel like season 7 just did not go further enough. How many seasons on that first one? Did you find it?
No, but that's very interesting.
What?
That the concept and the characters were initially introduced in 2 episodes of CBS's series Jag.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 8, episode 2021, and that's where NCIS used to stand for Navy.
Crazy.
They dropped Navy NCIS, and they dropped the word Navy.
Yeah.
But it has not stated which city.
Yeah. Interesting.
You can talk away, and when I find out,
I want to say Florida, but it's for whatever reason I'm completely forgetting. Just completely forgetting. Hey, here, you know what? I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna let's see. Let's try to find out the original NCIS. The original NCIS city, Crescent City. Let's see, the American NCIS New Orleans, but no, that's different. NCIS, yeah, I don't know. Crescent City, Crescent City, NCIS Crescent City. No, it doesn't say. Washington D.C. Could be Washington. It's all interiors anyway. So Jumanji had an animated season. Did you know that? Actually, it 3 seasons. Jumanji had
Animated? No, I
had
did
3 seasons
not
of an animated show. I had no idea either.
know. I did not know that, Ed.
Yeah, I did. I did not know that at all. It's never been on DVD before. 3 seasons, another 40 episode show like Archie's Weird Mysteries. And here's the thing about the Jumanji animated TV show. It's 40 seasons or 40 episodes. It's terrible. This is some of the worst animation I have ever seen. It is staggeringly terrible. And yet, somehow, you can't stop watching it.
Really?
Yeah. And there's a train wreck thing going on there. And I just thought, this is the worst animation ever. And then I realized it's the voices. The voices are really good. It's really well cast. Like Tim Curry does a voice on here.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so the saving grace of the thing are the voices. So anyway, Jumanji now out as a 40 episodes that I had no idea even existed. And here's the last. Let's blow through the last 4 here because I want to still get to some of this week's new movies.
Washington D.C.
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah,
it's Washington, which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So four new TV seasons here. We've got Once Upon a Time, the complete 6th season. This show is, you're so fortunate. No, I know you've never seen this because my mother-in-law is the only person I know who watches this on a regular basis and loves it, by the way. And every single time I've ever seen this show, I'm confused. And if I get a phone call or I walk away for a couple of minutes without pausing it or whatever, and I come back, I'm lost. I am dead to the world. I have no idea. I don't know where we are. I don't know what happened. Nothing is making any sense.
Maybe that's its secret. So you can put it on, walk away, come back, and it doesn't matter.
It is so all over the place. It's just all over the map.
Is it a fairy tale based
it's
series?
Like, yes, it's like taking the world of fairy tales and just melting it down and just pouring it all over. It's just, everything is all over the map. It's sort of like if the every fairy tale got mashed together and invaded our reality. It's weird, and it never makes any sense. And if you haven't watched it from the very first, it's like anime. If you haven't watched it from the very first episode all the way straight through and paid absolute attention and taken notes and passed quizzes, it just makes no sense. It makes me feel like an idiot. Really does. We talk about the 22 seasons in Supergirl that they don't have enough story to fill. Right. This is like 180 episodes worth of story mashed into 22. It's too much. It doesn't really work right. Blue Bloods. I'm gonna guess you've seen Blue Bloods.
I have, but I'm
lukewarm
again. Yeah.
But it's Tom Selleck.
It is.
He will not leave television.
No, but I preferred him in Magnum.
Yes, I did too. So here's an interesting question. This arose on the Facebook page. What actor has logged the most hours of episodic television ever? You ever give that any thought?
No, I never did.
It was an interesting discussion on the Facebook page, and I think it came down to James Garner was up there, obviously, because of Rockford Files and Maverick.
Right.
And I think it came down to Michael Landon, because Michael Landon was on Bonanza for 20-some years, and then Little House on the Prairie for, 14, 15 years, and then Highway to Heaven. Those three alone put you up into, 700 and some hours of television.
What about, I guess, what's his name from MASH?
Alan Alda?
Alan Alda. But I guess he didn't do anything after MASH.
MASH is a half-hour show. You're kind of screwed if you're on a half-hour show.
That's true.
The nature of that question, it's not the most episodes, it's the most hours.
Correct.
If it's the most episodes, and Ted Danson would be up.
Gunsmoke.
But no one on Gunsmoke went on to do anything else. James Arness did one other show, How the West Was Won. But I thought that was interesting. Tony Danza would be up there.
Yeah, he'd be up there.
Wouldn't he? For just episodes.
Yeah.
Between Taxi and Who's the Boss. Yeah. So I think Tom Selleck, he'd be up there now because Blue Bloods is in its 7th season. Magnum ran for 12 or 13 or 14, something like that. And Tom Selleck doesn't age. He's terrific. Just terrific. Otherwise, I kind of agree with you. Blue Bloods is on fumes. There's a bunch of special features on this, but the show kind of feels like it's been around long enough. And I prefer him on Magnum. The other two shows here, we got Bull season 1. Michael Weatherly. I'm not sold on this show yet at all. This is from Paramount and CBS. It's a legal show. You know, he's an attorney, and they try to give it a little bit of a war on terror vibe, but it elevate the stakes beyond just Perry Mason or Matlock. But it's not really much more. It still does everything that every other legal show has ever done. So we'll see where Bull goes in future seasons. And then the Blacklist just got canceled. This is the complete 4th season. The new season does begin October 4, but I believe that's the last one. I believe it'll be a 5th season, and then that's it. They'll finish it off. James Spader really made quite a comeback in this thing. It was supposed to be a big deal, but never quite caught fire the way they wanted it to. So anyway, there are extras here: deleted scenes, gag reel, and commentaries on 3 episodes that are okay. They're not great. So Nadim, I made a joke on the Facebook page. I don't know if you saw it, but I posted this along with the swag that we received promoting it. Now, go ahead and tell the good people, what I'm talking about.
Bring it on. Worldwide Cheers smack.
Yeah, whatever.
All new movie. Includes a free movie and more.
Yeah, so that's
Blu-ray.
That's a threat, not a promise. Bring It On is this whole franchise has stuck around way too long. The whole cheerleading nonsense thing. I don't know why this is still with us, but Universal. I love you, Universal, but Universal will never send us their catalog films. They will release like a classic film from even something as recently as 1980, 1975. They just drop it out there. They don't see any reason to promote it, to have anybody mention it. It's almost like it's a bother to them that they have to release it. But then this thing comes out, and they throw money at this. They throw swag. It's like, why? Come on. Seriously, Bring It On. Is this going to sell as much as, say, a special edition re-release of Xanadu? I don't think so.
Well, will it sell something to the
people who know what hashtag Cheersmack means?
Yes.
I don't know.
Will they buy the outfits? Will they do something that Universal... Is there a merchandising element to this?
I'm probably at least 25 years too old for this. So I just don't get it. I always ditched our pep rallies in high school. So anyway, Vivica Fox shows up in this to sort of hold down my generation. And
had no cheerleaders in my high school.
Thank goodness. Because you were chasing wildebeests?
My high school, I went to high school in Madagascar.
Yeah.
And my graduating class was 4 boys. The whole school had 50 kids from 1st to 12th grade.
But that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Barefoot, no cheerleaders. Who cares?
So we're going to wrap the show out on a very depressing note today. We're going to talk about Baywatch, which comes to us on Blu-ray and DVD with an extended cut. You also get Ultraviolet for that time when you just desperately want to watch the extended cut of Baywatch and the disc isn't nearby. But thank goodness I logged in with Ultraviolet and I can pull my phone out and I can watch all of the absolute awful horribleness of Baywatch all over again on my phone. I don't know what they're thinking. I really don't know what they're thinking. Did you see this?
No.
You are so lucky.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So apart from the fact that it just misses completely, the Jump Street films are the way to do this right. 21 and 22 Jump Street. Yeah. Those are the great way to do these films. Satirical, funny. This is not satirical or funny. The cameos aren't even funny. It's sad and painful, and the script is horrible, and it doesn't make any sense at all. They just miss completely what made the show kind of a camp fest. That said, Dwayne Johnson is terrific in it. He's great.
What did they spend on this movie?
Oh, I'm sure this was at least $60 million. At least. It's just it's too polished,
It's always my question. Why can't just a small portion of that 60 million go to getting a good writer?
I don't know. It's true. Look, I will say this about Baywatch, as horrible as it is. One of the first gags in the movie. There's a guy in the movie. It's the worst Jewish stereotype ever. He wants to be, on the Baywatch team, but he's a schlubby out of a misshapen Jewish guy who's got the hots for a girl, and you just think, okay, it's if it's a Woody Allen movie, I'm going to buy that. By now, this is just a really ugly cliche, and of course he makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. There's no way that this guy would just on heart alone make it. But there's the moment of his great embarrassment early in the movie is when he gets on the slats of a beach chair. He gets his member caught between the slats, and he can't bring down his arousal. And it becomes a big embarrassing moment on the beach in front of everybody, and Dwayne Johnson has to help him free his manhood. Now, I mean, if you're a highly paid Hollywood screenwriter, let's say someone is throwing tens of thousands of dollars per week at me to come up with good ideas, I would, and that's the best I could do, I would probably kill myself. I really would. I would spare humanity anything else that I would do. I don't know how people live with themselves with that. That's just appalling to me. So
manhood and slats.
It's just horrible. So Dwayne Johnson and Zac Efron can do much better. Zac Efron plays the conflict in this, for anybody that actually cares, is there's a drug. And that's the thing too. I was going to mention it because you know Indian actors quite well. Priyanka Chopra.
She's in this.
She's the villain. She's the baddie. She plays a drug dealer who's, she's a very wealthy Indian real estate magnate.
Or something,
she's a real estate magnate,
Okay.
but what she's really doing is buying up properties and running this whole kind of meth operation or whatever. And first of all, that doesn't make any sense. If you've got that much money, you don't
need the meth operation.
Yeah, you really don't. It's ridiculous. But the other part of it is that first of all, she's a great actress and she deserves better than this. But
is she involved in any slats?
Yeah, thank goodness no. But the dumbest part of this is that the conflict on the Baywatch end of it is that Dwayne Johnson is, he plays the Hasselhoff character, right? And he's a real serious lifeguard and takes no nonsense. But he's being forced to take Zac Efron onto his team as public service because Zac Efron is this bad boy Olympian who has been shamed because of some fiasco in his history. In any case, they have to get over their differences to bring down evil Indian drug lord. It's horrible.
The only thing that I can associate with is they have six packs. I have a keg.
You know what? I'm not going to go out on that horrible note. I'm going to go out on Dean. We're going to go out on Dean. Dean's an okay film. It's not great, but it's a better film to go out on. Dimitri Martin is a stand-up comic. He's a very, very good stand-up comic. And like many other stand-up comics of late, he's trying to do the Woody Allen thing and make a more meaningful, bittersweet, serio-comic entry into being a filmmaker. And this got some good reaction. It's not a perfect film, but it's, he does some interesting things with his persona. Lionsgate released this theatrically, and he's got a decent cast here: Kevin Kline and Mary Steenburgen, and a few others. It's still very Woody Allen-esque. He plays an illustrator who has a very Woody Allen kind of an approach to life, and he's very self-deprecating and very kind of disconnected from sociability. And he comes from New York to Los Angeles, and there's a little romantic angle, and there's all the kind of coastal culture clash that you get in something like Annie Hall. So it's more promising than anything else. This premiered at Tribeca last year and got some good notices, and even though it's not a perfect film, I hope Dimitri Martin keeps making movies. I hope he does. Nadeem, thank you for having been with us.
And thank you, Wade.
And next week we will at least have Mark back. I'm going to try to talk to him the next day or two, and unless Mark decides to just say farewell to everything and stay put in Paris, which is not out of the cards, by the way. But we will hear from Mark next week on his big Parisian romantic escapade. Until then, have a great week and enjoy the fall. It is almost fall, so here we go. Coming into award season. It's going to be a good time this year. A lot of great movies coming up. See you next week.
Goodbye.